Good morning, Year 5. Here are yesterday's answers to the practice and the challenging practice as well. Today we're going to move on to looking at parallel, perpendicular, horizontal and vertical lines within shapes. But first of all, here is your Fluent in 5 for today. And here are your answers. Okay, squares and rectangles then. We're specifically looking at squares and rectangles over the next few days and into next week. And we're going to use what we've learned about lines to help us. First of all, before we start today, now I remember I talked to you about the arrowheads on parallel lines, and I mentioned then that sometimes we had to label them slightly differently. So when I did it yesterday or the day before, I just used one little arrowhead. But when you have multiple pairs of parallel lines, you add in extras, okay? So just so you know why there's two little arrows on those lines. Okay, this is a square. A square is a four-sided shape. It has four equal sides. So if we were to call it A, B, C, D, AB is the same as or equal to BC is equal to CD is equal to DA. That's how we know it's a square. All the sides are equal. But that's not all that makes it a square, and we'll think about that, the angles in a minute. We draw these black lines here. Can you see these little lines across? Those show that these are equal sides, okay? Straight lines across show you that those four sides are equal. And then, just as I said a minute ago, we've got the arrowheads to show that AD is parallel to BC, and AB is parallel to DC. So two pairs of parallel lines. Its opposite sides are parallel lines, okay? AB is parallel to DC and AD is parallel to BC. Now that's not the only thing that we can say about a square. We also know that it has got four right angles. Angle A is the same as angle B, is the same as angle C, is the same as angle D, and they are all equal to 90 degrees. They are right angles. So we could pull some perpendicular lines out of there as well, couldn't we? We could say that AB is perpendicular to BC. Okay, so that's a square. A square is a special type of rectangle, but there are other rectangles, and this is an example of one. So let's have a look at it then, think about how it's the same and how it's different. A rectangle is also a four-sided shape. Its opposite sides are equal. So we do one line to those two sides because they're the same length. So that side is the same length as that one. And this side is the same length as that one. But they're not the same as these. So we can't do one line, we have to do two. Okay, to show that they're equal to each other. EF is equal to HG and EH is equal to FG. Just like with the square, its opposite sides are parallel lines. It has two pairs of parallel sides. E and H is parallel, EH is parallel to FG. That's why they've got the one arrow. And EF is parallel to HG. That's why they've got two arrows to show you. Also like the square, it has four right angles. Angle E equals angle F equals angle G equals angle H, and they all equal 90 degrees. So you will have noticed then that the difference between the square and the rectangle is just the sides. On the square, they're all equal, and on a rectangle, there are two pairs of opposite equal sides. Okay, moving on. Here are some shapes drawn on a square grid, and I want you to fill in the properties for each of the shapes. Pause the screen, have a little go, and then unpause where I'll go through the answers. Okay, let's have a look at X then. So X does have four sides, it's a quadrilateral. Are all the sides equal? No. That side is equal to that side, but the other two are not. Opposite sides are equal. No, they're not opposite, they're next to or adjacent, so no. Does it have one pair of parallel sides? Yes, it does. This line is parallel to that line. So yes. Does it have two pairs of parallel sides? No. Are all the angles right angles? that one is, that one is, that one isn't, and neither is that one, so no. Okay, moving on to Y then. All sides are equal, no. So that one and that one are equal, and that one is equal to that one, but they're not all equal. Are opposite sides equal? Yes. Does it have one pair of parallel sides or two? Well, two, because those two lines are parallel to each other, and so are those. So two. All the angles are right angles. And then the last one, Z, all of the sides are equal. The opposite sides are equal. It has two pairs of parallel sides, that one and that one, and then the vertical lines. And all the angles are right angles. So we can see that shape X is not a square or a rectangle. It's actually a trapezium. Shape Y, all sides are not equal, so that must be the rectangle. And shape Z is a square. Okay, which shape is a square then? Have a look. Which one do you think? Hopefully you've spotted that B is the square. It doesn't matter if it has vertical or horizontal lines. It can be turned over on its side, okay? Don't forget, with shape work, you can always turn the paper, okay? They don't have to be horizontal and vertical. They just have to be parallel and perpendicular to each other, okay? What shape is a rectangle? Well, we know that a rectangle has opposite sides are equal, okay? And two pairs of parallel lines. If you need to, you could go back here and check the list. So C was the rectangle. It's really important now that when we talk about rectangles and squares, we can explain what makes a rectangle and what makes a square a square. So pause the screen and then tick for me which ones, or mark for me which ones are squares and which ones are rectangles. Okay, this is a rectangle, this is a square, this is neither, it's a trapezium, this is a rectangle, this is neither, it's of course a triangle, and this is a square. Just because it looks like that doesn't mean it's not a square. It's got opposite sides are equal and they are all equal. It's got two pairs of parallel sides and four right angles. Therefore, it must be a square, even though it is sitting on its side traditionally. Okay, same thing then. So can you have a little look at this? Pause, have a go. If you've had a go and you're not sure, then do unpause where I go through the answers. Otherwise, you can just check your answers with me. And then there's a little challenge here for you to have a go at on squared paper if you have some. Right, we have a square here. We know in a square, we know that opposite sides are equal. And we know that all the sides are equal. So if KL is 14 centimetres, what else do we know? Well, we know that all square sides are equal. So that must also be 14 centimetres, and so must that, because they're all the same. PQRS is a rectangle. Now we know on a rectangle, opposite sides are equal. So PS is parallel to QR. This one is 5 centimetres, so this one must also be 5 centimetres. And now the horizontal lines on this one. PQ is parallel to SR. Opposite sides are equal in a rectangle, so it must also be 10 centimetres. Okay, let's have a look down here. So on this square, all the sides are 5 centimetres, because that's what the definition of a square is, or certainly one of the properties of a square. This is also a square, so each of the lines are 7 centimetres long. This is a rectangle, so if LK is 4 centimetres, IJ must be 4. And then if IL is 12 centimetres, then JK must also be 12 centimetres. And this is a rectangle. You've got the longer side being 15, the shorter one 13. So this one, opposite sides are equal, must be 13, and this one's 15. If you do have squared paper or dotted paper, do have a little go at the challenge. And here are your activities for today. I will come back tomorrow with the answers.